Hello, teachers, parents, and educational leaders, and welcome to this episode of Breaking Down the B.E.S.T. Now, during this episode, you will get a peek into the members-only area where I have tons of resources to help you make math fun, make it click, and make it stick. There should be a link somewhere around this video where you can learn more. All right, now that we got that out of the way, let's get to it, and let's break down the standard. Welcome to Breaking Down the B.E.S.T, a video series dedicated to breaking down Florida's best standards for math. So grab something to write with and maybe even a snack. This looks good. And don't forget to put a smile on your face. There you go, I see you. And let's dive into today's best standard. Hey everyone, my name is Sarah McCarthy and I'm super excited that you're joining me today as we break down the following standard. Today's standard is MA.4.AR.2.2. We are in the algebraic reasoning strand for 4th grade. And the standard today says, given a mathematical or real-world context, write an equation involving multiplication or division to determine the unknown whole number with the unknown in any position. Basically, you give me the word problem and I can create the equation for it. That's what the standard is all about. So they gave us an example here, and by they, I mean the Florida Department of Education, who releases this document just like this for all grades to the public, and I'm just showing you how I take what they provide to help create resources that are strategically aligned to the best standards with taking on the best. This example right here is just showcasing how a student could create an equation like 96 equals 8 times t given the situation, okay? Benchmark clarifications. We are moving on to where the symbolic representation of the unknown should be a letter. So in the past, in 3rd grade, it's been a box or a question mark or even a variable, a letter. But in this case, we are definitely using letters, and I often try to have students with real world context make the letter represent what it is that we're trying to figure out. So if we're trying to figure out how many tickets, let's place T for that missing unknown value. Problems can include the unknown on either side of the equation, and we are working with limited factors up to 12. So up to 12 times 12 equals 144, and the related division facts. The standard that's going to help us is 4.NSO.2.1, where students are expected to recall their multiplication and division facts. This term right here, the word equation, means that there is an equal sign present. So this right here is an equation right there. In 3rd grade, where are they coming from? Well, in 3rd grade, they had to determine the unknown in a multiplication or division equation. Now, students are given a scenario and they have to create the equation. So that's how we're bumping it up. In 5th grade, students will have to practice translating math descriptions into numerical expressions and vice versa. Also, there's a similar standard, but it involves the order of operations, so multiple operations, multi-step, with all 4 operations as well. Where this one is just multiplication and division, not all 4. For the purpose and instructional strategy, some things that jumped out at me, again, the focus is on multiplication and division by writing equations, and we want to emphasize the relationship between multiplication and division, how they are inverse operations. So even creating equations with these missing unknown values, you could have some students create a multiplication equation or a division equation for the same scenario. It just depends on where that variable is going, that unknown value. This is again to help facilitate the automaticity. We want our students to know their multiplication facts or have strategies where they are quick to be able to automatically have their multiplication and division facts. We may use multiplicative comparisons, and a great diagram would be a bar or tape model, just like below right here to show that. Some errors, some common errors. It says students without a firm conceptual understanding of multiplication and division may have difficulty problem solving with multiplication and division and writing equations to model situations. And here I put, I know that I did. I was one student to be able to grab the quantities and know what to do with them, but I didn't really have a firm conceptual understanding of, if you gave me a scenario as a student, I didn't really feel like I had a great conceptual understanding of being able to create an equation that matches that situation. This would be an example of a multiplicative comparison where we've got a Dalmatian that weighs 54 pounds and a Yorkshire weighs 9 pounds. How many more times? So a great way to incorporate that bar model that was shown like up here. Here with this one, I just said, notice here how the sum, the product, and the unknowns are on a variety of types. So make sure they have plenty of practice with not really the sum, because for this standard it's the product and the quotient, but making sure that they have practice with the product and the quotient showing up on the left side. All right, y'all. I think that's it for the standard. So we're looking to see resources where we can have a context, a real world context, and we can generate multiplication equations. So let me show you what you have access to with your membership to taking on the B.E.S.T. So here we are at the home page. You're going to go to members, enter here, taking on the B.E.S.T. Which grade? 4th grade. We want the AR strand. And drawing a blank. What are we doing? We're doing 4.AR.2.2, creating equations to determine the unknown value. Click that. It will take you to your bronze page. If you, I don't know why that's showing up right there. If you have the bronze, the silver, or the gold, you have access to this lesson right here. It's a video lesson where we tackle these questions right here. The first is a multiplicative comparison using the unknown S. So write an equation to represent how old Selena is, then solve. Write an equation to represent this scenario, then solve for the unknown value of T. So we're modeling there are going to be visuals in this video lesson. We are going to create an equation and we will solve it too. So everything that you saw in the standard will be addressed in those video lessons. Then, after those 2 examples, you're probably going to want your students to have extra practice. So if you have the silver or the gold membership, you have these silver resources right here, where we have that video lesson. I just pulled this one up, it's just there with you. And then there's some extra practice. Okay, again, a multiplicative comparison, write an equation, then solve for the unknown. Here's another one, write an equation, then solve for the unknown. And we have more practice problems, okay? So 2 extra pages to practice to allow your students to get a lot of exposure to this that are standards based. This is the math mission, and it says Henry reads 6 pages a day. Liam reads double the amount of pages that Henry reads. Trent reads triple the amount that Liam reads. Create an equation to determine the number of pages Liam, L, reads. Then solve for the unknown value. Include a visual representation to model the scenario. And then the same kind of thing for Trent down here. And there is an answer key, so you know how to visually represent this and everything like that. The last page is your resource for math misconception mystery. This is a video lesson. You just click play and I'll walk you through the problem, which says Janet buys 4 pairs of jeans for $48. Which equations below represents how much Janet spends for each pair of jeans, J? And so first I'll guide your students to go ahead and solve it, and then they will watch as 4 characters, which are really just me dressed up in silly costumes. These 4 characters will solve that same problem. 3 of them will make a mistake that students will commonly make, and 1 of them has the correct thinking and solves it correctly. Then they'll fill out their detective report, where they say who the most reasonable answer belongs to and why, and then evaluate the other 3 characters. Those are your silver resources, and then here are your answer keys right there. And if you have the gold membership, you have access to a little bit more. A lot of it more, actually. Okay, so you have a mini assessment based on this standard. You can see a variety of question types. There you go. Okay. Well, we've got variables. We have this time given an equation, but choosing the scenario that matches that equation. Here your students will have to generate their two different equations and solve. Here are some equations, and then creating another equation. So you can see a lot of the emphasis is placed on the student to create the equation. Your answer key is right here. Breaking down the B.E.S.T, you get this ad-free version. It's a nice little perk for being a gold member. You get it right here with all of your other resources, which is awesome. Or you might be watching this on YouTube. In that case, you just have ads, but you get the same information there. So then we have McCarthy Math 155 for the gold members, which is your daily math intervention aligned to the Common Core standards. So notice it says Common Core. These were the standards from the past. Now we're on to the B.E.S.T standards, but there are a lot of resources a lot of skills that trickle over into this. So if you have students who are struggling with multiplication, addition, division, you have all this extra practice right here. You have, look, if you go to division, you have 11 video lessons just on giving students a safe place for them to be able to practice. If I click on division, for example, you have the video and the printable, similar to the bronze resources that you have. Okay, but it just takes them step by step every day, just practice, practice, practice to help them get stronger with those skills. So that is the major perk for why you have the gold membership if you are a gold member. But I think that's it. So I hope that breaking down this standard helped you to understand all the different components that are involved with it, and that you can now see which standards, which resources you have in your membership that will align with this standard. So I hope that you feel ready to rock it. It's going to be awesome. And before we go, let me remind you that what you choose to do with your life, it really does matter. I want to thank you so much for showing up every day to be the best leader that you can for your students, because your students are watching. More is caught than taught. They're watching you step into the best version of yourself every day, which inspires them to do the same for themselves. So thank you for doing that. It really does matter. I appreciate your time. I thank you for welcoming me into your educational world, and I'll see you next time, okay? All right, bye. Okay, so I know that I just said goodbye for now, but I'm gonna ask you to do one more thing, okay? If you enjoyed this episode, please consider sharing it with your teacher friends or other leaders in education. That's how I get to continue doing what I love to do, which of course is supporting you all to the best of my ability. All right, for real now. Bye.